Maggie smiled warmly and said, "You are careful, Otham. But if you really want to conquer my heart, I will have to give you something back." Before Otham could answer, something extraordinary happened. A luxurious and shiny car appeared from nowhere and stood right in front of them. Otham looked at her, stunned. "Where is she from?" he asked, his voice filled with wonder. Maggie smiles mysteriously. "It's my gift for you, my dear," she gently said. "A gift for the man who touched my heart." Otham was amazed. The car was different from everything he had ever seen in the village. Its elegant design and its polished exterior seemed almost magical. Although he did not understand how the car appeared, he accepted it with gratitude. "You are full of surprises, Maggie," he said. "You have already made me the happiest man in the world." On the day of the wedding, the whole village was in effervescence. Maggie wore an elegant dress that highlighted her beauty, and her radiant smile illuminated the ceremony. All the men who saw her were struck by her grace, while the women admired her presence and charm. "You look like a queen," said Otham on her side. "And today, I am the luckiest man in the world." Maggie smiled and replied, "And you, Otham, you are my king. I will spend my life making you proud." The couple decided to use the mysterious car to go to the ceremony. He expected the journey to last only an hour, but the car had its own will. It stopped and started up again unexpectedly, extending the journey for a whole day. Strangely, neither Hotham nor Maggie were disturbed by this delay. They laughed and joked, appreciating the company of the other. "You know, Hotham," says Maggie, "this car is like our trip together. It can take unexpected turns, but as long as we are together, the destination will always be worthy of being lived." Hotham looked at her and smiled. "With you by my side, Maggie, every trip is an adventure. You are my greatest blessing." When they finally arrived, the car was impeccable, as if it had just been polished. The villagers who were waiting impatiently were amazed. Maggie got out of the car, like a vision, and Hotham followed her, the heart inflated with pride. The ceremony was a great event filled with music, laughter, and joy. As they exchanged their wishes, Otham looked at Maggie in the eyes and said, "I promise to cherish you, to honor you and make you the happiest woman in the world." Maggie smiled and replied, "And I promise to bring you joy, love, and prosperity. Together, we will create a life full of wonders." After the ceremony, a big party was organized. The villagers danced to traditional music, tasting delicious food, and celebrating until the morning. The beauty and grace of Maggie became the subject of the evening. Even the other Odam's wives admired him and warmly welcomed him into the house. As days went by, which turned into weeks, Odam began to notice that Maggie was not an ordinary woman. She had a mysterious aura and seemed to bring miracles everywhere she went. The harvest in the Odam fields prospered as never before. Her house became more harmonious and prosperity seemed to follow them everywhere. Maggie treated everyone with kindness and respect, gaining the admiration of the other Odam's wives. He told him to the team one evening, while they were sitting together under the stars, "You are my miracle. Since you entered my life, everything has changed for the better." Maggie smiled and put her hand on hers. "And you, to the team, you are my heart. I entered your life to bring happiness, but you gave me so much more. Your love made me whole." Maggie often said words that deeply touched the team. "You have a generous heart," to the team she said. "Your strength and your courage inspire me. Together we can accomplish anything." Otham in turn the cover of affection. "Maggie," he said, "you are my light. Every time I see your smile, I remember how lucky I am. You enriched my life in a way that I would never have thought possible." Their love story became legendary in the village. People often talked about the mysterious car of Maggie and the miracles that followed her arrival. The marriage of Otham and Maggie became a symbol of love, of trust, and the magic of unexpected blessings. Otham, who had already built a legacy with his 17 wives, found a new meaning and a new joy in his life with Maggie. They made the best of themselves come out, and together, they created a home full of love. Maggie's presence transformed not only Otham's life, but also that of all those around him. Years later, the inhabitants of the village still spoke of Otham and Maggie. Their story reminded everyone that love, kindness, and a little magic could create a life full of happiness and wonder. Odium often said that meeting Maggie had been the greatest miracle of her life. "She is not only my wife, He added, "She is my destiny." And Maggie, with her radiant smile, always answered, "And you, Odium, you are my home forever." After Maggie and Odium were officially married, life in the home became even stranger. The beauty and grace of Maggie continued to captivate everyone. But it was these mysterious abilities that left Otham both amazed and disturbed. Miraculous things seemed to be happening around her. Daily tasks that should have taken hours were accomplished in an instant. Strange events began to fill their homes. One day, Otham watched amazed Maggie, who was going to get some water. The village was about an hour away, yet she returned in a minute, the pot filled to the brim. "How is this possible?" asked Otham. Maggie smiled gently and replied, "When you love someone, you always find a way to make their life easier." Although these words were comforting, Otham could not help feeling uncomfortable. Even in the privacy of their room, Maggie's actions challenged the explanation. One evening, Otham mentioned that he was thirsty. Instead of getting up to get water in the next room, Maggie stretched her hand, apparently in an impossible way, and picked up the glass while sitting on the bed. Otham blinked, asking if his mind was playing tricks on him. "Where does it come from?" he asked prudently. Maggie simply smiled and stretched out her glass. "You were thirsty, so I went to get you some water, my love." Tim hesitated but drank, not wanting to object. However, deep down he began to fear Maggie. She was all he had always wanted from a woman, but his actions were beyond human comprehension. Things got even stranger one day, when Tim left Maggie in the room and went back to the living room, only to find her already there. She sits quietly waiting. Her heart began to beat faster. "There are two of you?" he asked half-jokingly, but without being able to hide his anxiety. Maggie was content to laugh. "Don't be stupid, Otham. I'm always with you." Although Otham loved Maggie deeply, he began to feel a growing fear. Strangely, he noticed that he didn't really feel at ease when they were together at night. During those moments, he felt comforted, energized and capable of facing anything. However, with his other wives, he did not feel any similar connection. "What's going on?" he asked. "What has changed? Why is Maggie so different?" One day, Fatadik, Otham returned home earlier than expected. As he approached the house, he noticed something unusual through the window. A long object, like a snake, stretched from the room to the living room. His heart was beating as he approached, to realize that it was not a snake, but Maggie's arm was stretched out in an impossible way, carrying the glass with ease. Hatim was frozen, his mouth dry and legs weak. For the first time, he wondered if Maggie was really human. He thought back to all the strange occurrences. The car appeared from nowhere, the paths impossibly fast to go get water, his ability to be in two places at the same time. He had ignored his growing fears for too long. Atim entered the house. Maggie, as if she felt her presence, retracted her arm and greeted him warmly. "Welcome home, my love," she said with a radiant smile. But Atim could no longer ignore the truth. "Maggie, how hesitant was she? Who are you, or rather, what are you?" Maggie's smile went on for a moment before she answered, "I am your wife, Atim. I came to improve your life. Why do you doubt me now?" Atim did not know what to answer. He loved her, but fear had taken root in his heart. That night, while he was lying down on his side, he could not sleep. His mind was filled with questions and doubts. If he had known about Maggie's mysterious nature before marrying her, would he have made the same decision? The next morning, Otham decided to entrust his worries to his first wife. She listened patiently while he told her everything that had happened. "Otham," she said slowly, "maybe it teaches you a lesson. You rushed to marry Maggie because of her beauty, but you didn't really take the time to get to know her. Sometimes, what we see outside is not what there is inside." His words hit the team deeply. He realized that he had been blinded by the beauty and charm of Maggie, without ever stopping to understand who she really was. He thought of the traditions of their ancestors, where parents played an important role in choosing a good wife for their son. Perhaps our African culture had wisdom. After all, if my parents had been involved, maybe they would have seen what I didn't see. Otham decided to confront Maggie once again, not with fear, but in the hope of understanding. "Maggie," he said, "I need to know the truth. I love you, but I can't live with this uncertainty. Please tell me who you really are." Maggie looked at him with a mixture of sadness and affection. Otham, she said, I am here because you chose me. My goal was to bring blessings into your life. But I see now that my presence has brought fear to the place. Maybe it's time for me to go. Otham felt a pinch in his heart. Despite everything, he didn't want to lose her. But before he could say a word, Maggie disappeared, leaving behind only the memory of her radiant smile. Otham's life resumed its normal course, but he was never changed by his experience. He became a wiser man, teaching his children and other inhabitants of the village the importance of understanding the character of someone before committing. He highlighted the value of patience and the wisdom of involving parents in the process of choosing a partner. To young men, Otham said, beauty is ephemeral, but character lasts a lifetime. Take the time to meet someone before introducing them into your life. And to parents, he added, guide your children, teach them marriage, respect, and the importance of building a family based on trust and understanding. Otham also thought about his own decisions. Although he is married to many women, he realized that a smaller and more harmonious family would have been better. Gentlemen, he often said, learn to be satisfied with one or two women. Focus on the construction of a strong and loving family, instead of looking for more. The story of Tim and Maggie became a lesson in the village. Parents began to play a more active role in the lives of their children, teaching them the value of humility, patience, and wisdom. Parents' tradition is in their sons to choose a good woman as a bride, and the village became a place of stronger and happier families. If it had been for me, I would have done things differently, said Otham. I would have taken the time to really understand Maggie before marrying her. I would have sought the advice of my parents and my elders, by trusting them for their wisdom. And if I had been confronted with the same miraculous events, I would have prayed for clarity and guidance, knowing that certain things escape human comprehension. The lesson here is clear. Life and love must not be rushed. Take the time to know the people you welcome in your life. Trust the wisdom of those who came before you, and remember that true beauty resides inside. Because in the end, it is character and not appearance that builds a lasting and significant relationship.